fight now.
The heated press conference was only the beginning of the conversation surrounding Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. Experts quickly weighed in analyzing the risks and implications of the potential matchup. Legendary trainer Barry McGuigan offered particularly strong criticism, highlighting the genuine fear that many experienced boxers would feel when facing someone like Joshua. Having spent decades around elite heavy hitters, McGuigan emphasized that one clean punch can completely change the dynamics of a fight, showing just how dangerous this matchup could become.
Some people are saying, AJ's grabbing the bag. There's nothing wrong with that, because anybody else, if they got offered that kind of money, they would do it. So,
Yep.
And some people are suggesting he might damage his legacy. Where do you sit with the decision of him taking that fight? And it's a professional 8-round fight as well.
Yes, it's a highly dangerous fight for Jake Paul. I don't know what he's doing, unless they have done some sort of caveat or some sort of agreement that he says he's going to go easy on him, or he's not going to go flat out. But I've been tossing this up and down in my mind and trying to figure how, and under God, when he had agreed to fight someone like Tank Davis, who is several divisions below him. That's more like what Jake Paul does, and then he goes from there to fighting Anthony Joshua. I mean, just look at what happened to Francis Ngannou, who's a big, athletic, tough guy and had gone 12 rounds with Tyson Fury and given him a real ding dong, and then he gets absolutely obliterated in a round and a half against Joshua. That shows you, despite the fact that he's been knocked out since by Daniel Dubois, who could knock out anybody, by the way, in any weight division or in any era of the heavyweight division. He's such a powerful guy; he could knock anybody out if he hits them properly. But it just seems utter madness. And
Wade, host of the Wade Concept podcast, revealed that Jake Paul's secret weapon for the Anthony Joshua fight has been exposed. He explained that Paul has been sparring with multiple heavyweights to replicate Joshua's size, height, and experience. These sessions allowed Jake to get accustomed to real heavyweight power while sharpening his timing and strategy. By training against opponents who mimic Joshua's attributes, Paul is preparing himself for the specific challenges he will face inside the ring.
Anthony Joshua fight, if you're Jake Paul, who hasn't fought someone in the top, realistically, the top 50. I know Tommy Fury is ranked in the top 50, but anyone that is a top 50 fighter, even in your weight class, let alone a top 10, top 5 heavyweight in Anthony Joshua, who was a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. Can you get prepared for a guy like that if you brought in, let's just say, a deity, freaking Zeus, Hercules, whoever, to prepare you? Could you do it? I don't think that Jake would have enough time, seeing as he's already undersized. He's not a real heavyweight, and this is Anthony fucking Joshua we're talking about. But I will say there were rumors going around that Jake was not taking this fight as seriously as he needed to. That Jake was dilly-dallying, flying to go see F1 in Miami after his press conference, and then going to see his girl all the way in the Netherlands if she's trying to qualify for, I think, the Olympics or something else. There was this post from his girlfriend. I don't know if, again, this was in the Netherlands or where it was at, or maybe this is an old picture, but Jake flying around the world when he has a fight in about 4 weeks is probably not the greatest look, and it doesn't seem to make it look like he's taking it as serious as he needs to, locked away in the gyms of Puerto Rico. Now, again, that could have been a different picture. That could have been something else, but that's pretty shocking to see. With that being said, I want to push back on that because I do think Jake is taking this as seriously as he absolutely needs to, because this is not only the toughest fight of his career, it's the most dangerous to the longevity of his career, to his health and well-being. And so to do something like that, you need to bring in the best help possible to get ready. We already heard that Jake Paul was preparing it for Anthony Joshua by sparring the guy that Anthony Joshua was about to fight in Cassius Chaney. This gentleman right here, who was 24-3 from B-More, aka the DMV, and apparently is a top 100 heavyweight, even though it doesn't say he's actually a top 100 heavyweight, but that was what he was being marketed as by
Spencer Oliver, former professional boxer and analyst, approaches the upcoming Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul matchup from a unique angle. Speaking on a panel of experts, Oliver suggested that the fight carries more than just competitive stakes. It holds symbolic significance for the sport itself. He drew a parallel to Muhammad Ali's era, noting that Ali often engaged in unconventional fights that captured public imagination and attracted audiences far beyond traditional boxing fans. According to Oliver, if Joshua agrees to face Jake Paul, he would be entering a moment reminiscent of Ali where entertainment value and spectacle intersect with professional sport. The matchup could introduce an entirely new audience to boxing, particularly viewers who follow Jake Paul through social media rather than through traditional fight circuits. This crossover effect has the potential to increase the sport's visibility, expand global interest, and create new revenue streams and sponsorship opportunities. Analysts suggest that the cultural impact of such a fight could be just as significant as the event itself. It represents a bridging of generations, connecting longtime boxing fans with a younger, digitally driven audience, and positions the bout as a landmark moment in the evolution of modern boxing.
Goes in, pops him a few times in the face, walks out of 150 million quid. No one will remember the fact he fought Jake Paul. They'll remember the fact he knocked Klitschko out in Wembley in 2017.
Totally agree with that.
So I'm kind of, whilst I don't like it, and I don't like the way that Jake Paul gravitates to these brilliant athletes and like a moth sucks the life out of them because he gets the benefit of association, because I think they deserve all the association. But he is a and there was opportunity there, wasn't there?
Listen, commercially, of course it works because it'll be huge and there'll be a load of money on the table. And for Anthony Joshua, it's like sort of, he's going to get rewarded very well with no risk, minimal risk, no risk at all. He's going to go in there and he may then put all this stuff to bed with Jake Paul and calling out all these different champions, etc., etc. So, of course it works. And when you're talking about, the credibility that Joshua's going to get, he's not going to get none now, but are people going to remember that? Of course they're not. Like, when he goes on to do what he does, didn't Muhammad Ali have some sort of strange fight in the middle of his career? Didn't he box? Yeah, he did. He boxed some non-boxing guy and whatnot. Like, people don't remember that. That's what I'm saying. Look, us as boxers, we don't remember stuff like that.
It was replicated in Rocky. So, he did a version of Fighting Thunderlips, didn't he? So we all...
Veteran boxing analyst Gareth A. Davies raises serious concerns about the safety implications of this matchup. He highlights the considerable weight difference and the vast gap in experience between the fighters, warning that the contest may be stretching the limits of what is safe in a professional ring. Davies emphasizes that a full-scale sanctioned bout could be dangerous, especially if Joshua lands clean, decisive punches early on. While the spectacle of a social media star challenging a seasoned heavyweight is undeniably intriguing, he argues that the physical risks make the fight highly questionable. Experts like Davies insist that regulatory bodies and promoters must thoroughly evaluate safety measures, as the consequences of a misjudged matchup could be severe for both competitors.
As I am with you, there is a danger in this fight. The odds are Joshua's 1-12, obviously. Jake Paul is 6-1. Yeah, to win this fight in a two-horse race in which this is a guy who lost to Tommy Fury, Tyson Fury's brother, in an 8-round fight, who, for me, I wrote that it would damage his legacy a week ago. It will damage his legacy for several reasons. If the Deontay Wilder fight never emerges, which it looks like it isn't, I've been calling for that fight for ages. If those two got in a ring together, it's still a massive fight. It's a dangerous fight to sanction, in my view. Sets the wrong precedent. It is 10-ounce gloves. It is a boxing match. It's not an exhibition. This isn't a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. This is one of the most dangerous finishers in the world, who is probably 5 levels above Jake Paul and a weight division above him. I think it's irresponsible to let those two in a ring together in a proper boxing match. That's my view. It doesn't damage his bank balance, but if he earns $70 million for this, are we really...
Boxing analysts Angelo and Josh deliver a technical breakdown of the matchup. Assessing both fighters in terms of experience, skill, and natural ability, they argue that Jake Paul, though brave and improving, is not on the same level as elite heavyweights such as Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder. Joshua and Wilder belong to a rare class of fighters whose timing, precision, and raw knockout power can end a fight in an instant. Angelo and Josh emphasize that these qualities are built through years of intense training and natural physical advantages, traits that cannot be replicated by smaller or less experienced fighters. They conclude that bravery alone does not translate to skill. While Paul's confidence is noteworthy, it cannot replace the depth of preparation, instinct, and heavyweight conditioning that true professionals bring to the ring.
I just don't think that he could compete at the highest level, and I don't think he beat the top 5, top 6 guys. But that in that weight class is where he'd be at, like say 180, 188 or 189, somewhere around there is where he'd probably compete. There's not a lot of talent there though. So he might be pretty good in those weight classes. Him competing in the heavyweight division against like Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua or anybody else, no. He gets annihilated. I'm very surprised he signed this fight.
I was shocked he signed this fight. I texted my buddy Bo because Bo follows boxing really well, and I texted him. I was like, "Dude, we might see a death." And he said the same thing. He's like, "I cannot believe he agreed to that fight." But the numbers, the numbers that are nobody knows the true payouts. They're saying it's around $200 million that they're splitting evenly. So they're getting about $100 million each. He said that it was $267 million. So I don't know who you believe or don't believe, or it could be they're splitting 200 and the 67 delta, they had to pay DAZN because Anthony Joshua has a contract with DAZN. And this fight's going to be on Netflix. DAZN.
It's DAZN.
So they, which makes, how the hell?
Please stop saying DAZN, okay? That's like Saint Benoit. Okay.
Where's the O in DAZN?
It's DAZN.
Well, there's no O or no E at the end. But so they basically had to buy Anthony Joshua his permission to do